G'day all, I'm Sharpie101 and welcome back to another drone tutorial. Now, you're probably wondering, how do you automatically dock drones? Well, once again, I've set up a few drones in the background to show you, but make sure you check out part 1 as I'll be continuing on from there. So, let's dive straight into it. Alrighty, first things first, I'm going to show you exactly what all my drones have and what they need to ensure a smooth docking process. And I've just placed them right down in front of us to make it nice and simple. They need to have collision avoidance off, as they technically run into the connector or merge to actually perform the docking sequence itself, as well as having the precision mode on to ensure it is accurate enough to go where it needs to go, and at the right distance as well. Moving on to the drone trigger timer, let's get into the actions and see how this thing works. For the drone to activate, all this does is to unlock the connector and turn the autopilot on. You can also have the batteries go from recharge to auto, and the thrusters go from off to on, since this is the timer where the drone would be on your base. Lastly is the secure dock timer itself, which is set for 3 seconds to allow stability of the drone due to the magnetism of the connectors themselves. So let's get into the actions, and all this does is lock the drone's connector and turn its autopilot off. I also suggest maybe turning the thrusters off and the battery on to recharge, but make sure you change them back on when you do the drone trigger. Now that's out of the way, let me show you the 4 ways of docking that I know how. Okay, let's start with a drone with the connector underneath and move our way up from there. All you got to do is go into your drone, go to the remote control block just like that, and control it. Give it a bit of a wiggle to make sure. Go into your chat and type GPS and whatever the name of the dock you want it to be called. After that, go back to your character, into the drone's remote control, and add that GPS and wherever you want this drone to go. So let's add this one just there like that, and I've already added one just off camera from part 1 of this tutorial series. So on this, all we want it to do is secure dock. We just want it to start that timer, to then lock the connector and turn the autopilot off. Anything else is just a bonus, and that's up to you. From there, let's go down to ground floor, connect that connector back up, and let's start this timer here, which is a representation of that activate timer on the drone, by pressing button 1 to trigger it. It should fly up to the tutorial approach from part 1, and then back to the dock itself, and then dock. Let's watch this very quickly, shall we? Here it comes, locks back up, nice and easy, no problem. Moving on to a drone with a connector on the rear of it, this one is slightly different and it's much easier to explain by triggering it and showing you. What this will do is that it will fly up to the actual tutorial approach, come down to a dock that's close to the connector and in front of it, just like so. And then that GPS itself has the command to make the remote block reverse onto the connector itself. So let's just disconnect this just like so, and I'll show you. Let's get into the remote block on this drone and I'll explain. So to reset that reverse function, it needs to have that forward command on the drone dock GPS it's at right this second. After that, it would fly up to the tutorial approach like the previous drone, come down to a GPS that's just in front of where it is now, and have a reverse function on that remote block to then reverse onto the connector and start the secure dock timer to then connect it up. Nice and simple and nice and easy. It sounds more complicated, but it's really not. So let's watch that once more. Connect that back up again, and then press that button nice and easy. So once more, it disconnects, goes up to the tutorial approach after that forward command to reset it. It will come down to the actual close dock GPS and reverse back, just like that, nice and easy. And then lock after 3 seconds. Perfect. So if you've seen my drone printer on my survival series or all the drones tutorial episode 3, if you haven't, make sure you check that out after this. You're gonna love this for the fact that the drone just before works identically the same as this, except you don't need a secure dock timer at all. Just that trigger timer, as always, that's on this button, just like that. And let's watch it go. So same exact thing, go up to the tutorial approach, come down to the one close to it, reverse back, and it's all nice and done. So let's turn that merge block back on again. Boop, nice and easy. You can even put this base merge block on a timer that when it turns off or when the drone activates, to then start a timer to turn this merge block back on again so you don't have to press that button. Nice and easy, nice and simple. Last of all is my unknown signal retrieval drone that you can download and use yourself in your world using the link in the description below, so make sure you go and check that out. But very simply, this uses a little bit of a different method in docking for the fact that when it connects to a separate grid, for example an unknown signal, it sometimes loses its correct orientation to then reverse back onto the connector itself like the two previous drones. Instead, I've got a gyro off at the moment, but when it gets back to this dock after retrieving that signal, it will turn on this gyro, which is overridden, but not enough to overpower the magnetism created by the actual connector itself. So let's trigger this up and we'll get into the actual remote block when it gets back in just a second. So once more, up to the tutorial approach, over to the unknown signal that Lord Klang has graced himself with so awesomely and so closely for this tutorial. It will then lock onto the signal because the remote block is right above the mag pads, otherwise it wouldn't be able to get so close to that GPS created by the unknown signal. Come back, drop it off. It will then turn on that actual gyro and start a timer block for 30 seconds. I've got a timer block to start for 30 seconds, allowing the drone to do a full 360 degrees, no matter where it's coming from. So once it gets back to this, no matter where it's pointing and no matter where it's facing, it will always be able to grab the magnetism created by the connector itself. So let's get into the remote block very quickly and I'll explain how this works. So once more, it went up to the tutorial approach. It went to the unknown signal, and I've actually got, just in case, a lock of that grouped mag plates underneath the drone, even though auto lock is on. Doesn't really matter, it may or may not be needed. It will then come back to the tutorial approach, down to the actual dock right in front of the connector itself, and it will do a few things. One, once it gets to that actual docking GPS, it will turn on that overridden gyro. It will start that secure dock timer, and it will unlock the group of mag pads, in other words, dropping that unknown signal. So that's exactly how this all works, and I hope that is very well understood and very well explained. Alrighty then, that just about covers everything to do with drone docking, but as we sign off, I'll leave you with a hint of what's in part 3, where I'll be showing you how to set up and trigger complex actions at GPS points, like my minefield drone here, or my player follow drone. But if you like this tutorial or think I've missed anything, then please throw a comment my way, as I'll be sure to add it in the next drone tutorial. As always, if you like my designs or want to know more, then check out the description below for all the download links and heaps more. I'd also appreciate it while you were there to like and comment your thoughts, as I will certainly reply. Stay sharp till then, and thanks for watching as always.